So we can have three kind of dislocations. Basically we have two types, edge and skew dislocations. But if this condition will be fulfilled, neither perpendicular nor parallel, so that is mixed kind of thing. I'll show you that. First I'll try to show this one. Tangent vector is perpendicular to the buzzer vector. So you have to draw again what? You have to draw a slip plane, right? So this is your slip plane, and you have slip plane means you have a boundary between slip and unslip region. So this is your dislocation line, and you understand this is slip region. This is unslip. Okay? And you remember how tangent vectors is. It is either parallel or tangent. So, fine. So that means tangent vector will show you what? It will show you the orientation of what? Dislocation line. Listen it carefully. Tangent vector will show you the orientation of dislocation line. Because why? Because it is always constant. It is always parallel or tangent to the dislocation line. Right? So suppose, just imagine, suppose your dislocation line is like this. So how will be the tangent vector? It will be like this also. What is this? Because it is all, this is dislocation line, for example. Right? Dislocation line. So if this is dislocation line, so tangent vector will be like this, because tangent vector is always parallel or tangent to the dislocation line. So that's why if somebody will ask the definition, so tangent vector shows you the orientation of the dislocation line. How dislocation line is oriented, right? Tangent vector always shows the orientation of dislocation line, right? And if the tangent vector will be like this, if the dislocation line will be like this, tangent vector will be also like this, right? Okay. It is showing the orientation now. Now orientation is this one. Now orientation is this one. Right? Anyway, we will not discuss that. But our concern is to show you edge dislocation. So in edge dislocation, this one is perpendicular to this. So how I can show? Suppose one plane has moved due to slip. So how it will be? Right? Initially it was here, and now it has moved to this one. So I can draw like this, 1 unit distance, and if this was here initially and it has moved to this one, so direction is this and magnitude is this. So this is your magnitude of the slip and direction of slip is also this. So I can show Buzzer vector. It is okay. Now just have a look. Buzzer vector is this like this, tangent vector is like this. So they are perpendicular, yes or no? Right? And or in other way I can say the dislocation line is perpendicular to the slip direction or buzzer vector. You should not be confused. The question is very tricky actually. Right? I am saying tangent vector is like this, buzzer vector is like this. Right? So they are perpendicular. In another way I can say buzzer vector is perpendicular to dislocation line. Which both are same. Here I can also write tangent vector or line vector is perpendicular to dislocation line, right? Anything is true. This one is true, this one is true. You can write anything. Sorry, this one buzzer vector. Sorry. Buzzer vector is perpendicular to dislocation line. Right? So that means it is an edge dislocation. If somebody will ask why name is edge, because just have a look. If you consider the extra half plane of atom at the bottom part, that is the edge actually. That is getting ended over there. So that is the edge. And it is looking like a dislocation line. So that's why it is called edge dislocation. Screw dislocation means it will look like a screw actually. Screw is like this. Right? I'll show you in the slides. So that you will understand more. Okay, but I want to show you this one now. So again I have to draw this one quickly. You can draw a, first of all you have to draw what? Slip plane, right? So slip plane is this, and you have a slip and unslip region. This is your slip region and this is unslip, right? And this one is dislocation line. Dislocation line, right? And tangent vector is always fixed because it is tangent or parallel. So I am writing like this. Now how the Balzer vector will be? That will be critical because you have to show parallel, right? I can show like this. Just have a look. If you want to join, yeah, you can join. You can see sleep is happening in this direction. Yes or no? Sleep is happening in this direction, basically. Right? So sleep is happening in this direction is the Balzer vector is in this direction and tangent vector is also in this direction. So Balzer vector is in this direction, tangent vector is in this direction. They are parallel. Okay? And last one, mixed one. Mixed one is somewhat critical to show you. Huh? Okay, let me erase this one otherwise. You make it from here. Now the confusion will be clear. Just see. It was initially here and it has moved to this one. In this case, movement is in this direction, not here. Right? So direction of Balzer vector is in this direction. There is no movement in this direction. Just have a look. So if Balzer vector is in this direction, tangent vector is in this direction. They are parallel. So it is called slew dislocation. Right? So the critical one will be mixed. It will be neither parallel nor perpendicular. Right? So you can draw again a slip plane. This is slip plane, and you have dislocation line. Dislocation line, and you have slip and unslip region, right? And this is tangent vector. But how to show this Balzer vector? So this is somewhat critical now. So this will be now it is okay. So this is the Balzer vector direction. So this is neither parallel nor perpendicular, right? So this is your Balzer vector. It is neither parallel nor perpendicular. So this is mixed. Right? Again, I am saying on the basis there are two vectors that will define which kind of dislocation we have. We have three types of dislocations: edge, screw, and mixed, right? And the tangent vector is what? The tangent vector is always parallel or tangent to the dislocation line. It basically tells about the orientation of the dislocation line, how dislocation line is oriented, in which way, right? And Balzer vector will tell you about the nature of slip. It tells about the magnitude of slip and the direction of slip, right? And angular relationship between this Balzer vector and tangent vector will tell you which kind of dislocation we have. Whether we have edge dislocation, whether we have slew, or whether we have mix. Right? It is either perpendicular, parallel, or not perpendicular, not parallel. Right? These are the cartoon diagrams, you can say. These are not real diagrams. Anyway, so the most interesting part we'll discuss now quickly. That is how dislocation. Your question will be how dislocation moves. As I told you, if dislocation will move, plastic deformation will happen. If dislocation cannot move, there will be no plastic deformation. There will be only elastic deformation, right? So dislocation can move by either slip or either climb or by cross slip. These are the three ways the dislocation can move. Slip, climb or cross slip, right? Slip will be seen by edge, screw and mixed. All kind of dislocation can, this is you can also say slip or glide simply. In simple way you can say glide. Right? But climb will be shown by only screw. That means edge dislocation cannot, this one is edge. Edge dislocation can only climb, but screw dislocation cannot climb, this dislocation cannot climb. And cross slip is shown by screw only. Screw dislocation can only cross slip. Right? Okay, let me give an example. Suppose this is one atomic plane, this is another atomic plane, this is another atomic plane, and this is another atomic plane, right? And there is an atomic plane like this also. There is an atomic plane like this also, for example. These are what? Atomic planes. And these are also atomic planes. I told you slip never occurs in any crystallographic planes or any crystallographic direction. It only occurs in closed pack plane and closed pack directions. And that closed pack direction must present in that plane only, closed pack plane. Otherwise, slip will never occur. Slip never occur randomly, right? So you have lot of planes, right? And okay, fine. Let me tell you how you can show a edge dislocation. Edge dislocation can be shown by this or by inverted T. This is inverted T or this is T. You can correlate with extra half plane of atom. Just have a look. If your extra half plane of atom is on the top, so how it will be? This will be like this, right? If extra half plane of atom is at the bottom of the plane, so this will be like this. T and inverted T. These are the representation of edge dislocations, right? Just have a look. Suppose a dislocation is present and there is a shear stress. Now, this dislocation has to move, right? So this will move like this. The same dislocation is moving. So what exactly it is doing? It is gliding, right? Like suppose I am extra half plane of atom now. So I will glide on this plane, right? I am gliding on this plane, right? This is the closed pack plane. I am gliding right now. Straightly I am gliding, right? So that means what is glide or what is slip? It means if edge dislocation or any dislocation is gliding or slipping on the same plane, that is called glide or slip simply. But similarly, can you tell me what is the meaning of climb? You are climbing a tree, for example. So either you can go up or you can go down, right? Suppose, let me draw another. This is new plane. Again, same term is acting. Suppose you are initially, okay, you have a dislocation over here. You have a dislocation over here, right? And this is, suppose there is a problem. This is suppose a precipitate. Or a compound like a compound. Suppose any compound. intermetallic compound, any intermetallic compound, right? Basically, intermetallic compounds are harder and stronger compared to the base metal or base alloy, right? For example, you are having a aluminium nickel aluminium alloy, for example. In that aluminium alloy, you have a compound Ni3A, for example, or you have a nickel alloy of nickel. The main is nickel, but you have a compound Ni3A, right? So Ni3A will be very hard compared to nickel. Nickel is soft. Ni3A is very hard. So what is happening? A dislocation is present over here, and it wants to glide, right? So it will glide up to this, but from here it cannot glide further. Why? Because of presence of a compound. This compound is stronger and harder, so it cannot deform, right? Plastic deformation will be easy if the material is ductile, but if something is harder and present in the metal, it will not deform easily, right? So what will happen? It will stop. If it will stop, what will happen to the strength? Strength will increase. I told dislocation cannot move, cannot glide. So, but still you are applying a high stress. You are giving energy to the dislocation. Dislocation you have to move, right? You are applying more stress. So what happens? Dislocation have one more option. It will move to top. It will leave its own plane and go to a new plane. So it will climb to this. It will get more area. So it will move again easily. It will glide again easily. So that is called dislocation climb. So dislocation can also move down, right? It can also go down. It can move to here, and again it is free. There is no precipitate or no compound present. So it will again glide. Because why it is gliding? Because you are applying more stress with time, right? But if you are not applying more stress, it will stop over there and strength will be high. You understand my point? What is the? It can climb up or it can climb down, right? This is climb. Again, I am saying glide or slip means easily it is gliding in the same plane. But climbing means it will leave that plane and go to a higher plane or lower plane. That is climb. Climb up or climb down. So what is cross slip? Just have a look and tell me. I want to see you who can figure it out. Cross slip. The hint is you have some other planes in different directions. Just have a look. You have some other planes in this is one and this is one. It will go to new plane, and only screw can do that. Suppose screw is moving. I am not exactly drawing the diagram. So screw is suppose moving like this. It is moving like this, but it interacts with a precipitate or a compound which is harder. These compounds are basically hard and brittle. And the entire material is ductile. Precipitate is hard and brittle. So this is screw dislocation is moving, right? No problem. As I told, screw dislocation also can glide, right? So screw dislocation is gliding, but if time comes when it meets a precipitate which is hard and strong. So what will happen? It cannot move. So it has an option. Basically, I have to show at this one. Sorry. This is the figure. That means it will come to this portion and it want to move in this direction, but it cannot move because there is a hard particle, right? So there is an option, it will go to this plane. So it will move. There is no issue. There is no precipitate. But if it faces any precipitate over here again, it will stop. It can move to new plane. It can come to this. Again it will glide. Suppose it will meet a precipitate again here. What can be done? It will go to this, right? So that is cross slip. That means it is leaving the same plane but going to a different plane completely, where there is no obstacles. So precipitate is an obstacle. So this kind of strengthening is called precipitation strengthening. As I told, you can do solid solution strengthening by adding an alloying element. Similarly, by adding alloying element, you can form a compound which is more harder and stronger, and you can get precipitation strengthening. Because this precipitate is an obstacle to the moment of dislocations. It is okay, right? If somebody will ask, sometimes people may ask, why the strength is increased by addition of alloying element to the pure metal. You can say two things, right? One thing I told you, when you are adding alloying elements, two things can happen. Either it will form a solid solution or it may form a compound. I told you no, right? Alloys are two types, three types. We are not talking about mixture. It may be a solid solution, it may be a compound, right? If compound is forming and compound is somewhat stronger and harder, it will stop the motion of dislocation. So strength will increase, right? And what about the solid solutions? Solid solution, the size of the solute atoms may be big, may be small, right? And depending on that, a strength field will generate, and that strength field will interact with the tension and compression field of the dislocation. It will again stop. So strength will increase. So these are the things, these are the simple concepts. So this one is called precipitation strengthening, and first one is called solid solution strengthening. Both can be done by adding alloying elements only. It is okay. So that means if somebody will ask, when you are making an alloy of nickel and copper, which kind of strengthening will you get? Solid solution strengthening. Because both are soluble in one another. They are not reacting to form any compound. It is okay, right? Similarly, if somebody will ask, if I will add 0.1% carbon into iron, which kind of strengthening will get? Solid solution strengthening again, but interstitial solid solution strengthening, right? But in nickel copper, it will be substitutional solid solution strengthening. You got my point? But I told you once, the strengthening will be more if you do interstitial solid solution strengthening, right? Suppose I am adding chromium into iron and I am adding a little amount of carbon into iron, in which case you will get more strength. Listen carefully. You are adding chromium into pure iron, and in another way you are adding little amount of carbon into pure iron, in which case you will get more strength. Just by adding carbon. Carbon will go to the interstitial voids and it will provide more strength field. Why? Because size is very small, but in the real situation, size of carbon atom is bigger compared to the void size. So it will get more strength field. That's why the strength will be more. But if you add chromium, the size of chromium and iron are nearly same. So there will be little distortion. Distortion will be there, but distortion will be less. Strength field will be less. So dislocation can come over this kind of strength field if you apply a little load, right? So one is called solid solution strengthening, one is called precipitation strengthening. One example I have just given you. Suppose you have a pure nickel, right? You are adding some alloying elements like aluminium, and it forms Ni3Al. So that means you have aluminium initially. You have nickel initially, and you are adding aluminium into it, and it is forming a compound Ni3Al. So Ni3Al is somewhat stronger compared to pure nickel. So the dislocation cannot cross this precipitate. It can cross sometimes, but that is another topic to discuss. It can sometimes cross, or it can break the precipitate also, but that is a different concept, right? You understood? So dislocation can move by three ways. Either it will glide, or it will cross slip, or it will climb, right? Climb means, for example, just I am showing you. Suppose right now I am an extra half plane of atom, I am the dislocation in the entire body. This is one plane, atomic plane, and this is one atomic plane. So bottom one is I am the atomic plane. In this plane I am now moving, I am gliding like this, right? But suppose I have an obstacle here. What I can do? I will climb to the bench, for example, or to that plane. Or suppose this is a new plane, this bench. I will climb over here and I can walk, I can glide. You understood? And cross slip, you understood? Suppose a new plane is there. Suppose this one is a new plane, the wall. I am gliding and I am gliding and I am gliding, for example, and continuously suppose here there is an obstacle. Here there is an obstacle. So I cannot cross this thing. So I have an option, I will go to this plane and I will move. This is cross slip. Right? So you understood the difference between the climb and cross slip? And climb can be up or it may be down. Because dislocation don't want any hindrance, it wants to move easily. But where it finds obstacles, it will stop. Then you have to apply more stress. Obviously your strength will increase. You cannot deform it plastically easily. Right? And definition of strength is what? Anybody remember? Definition of strength. Resistance to plastic deformation. Simple definition. Right? or in other way you can say resistance to sleep. In a simple way you can also say resistance to sleep. Sleep is not happening. There is a resistance to the sleep. So it is strength. Right. Okay, anyways, I'll stop.